Do
Hmm?
we say to wait like last time? Just waiting for that. Welcome everyone to our council meeting this evening. I do welcome everyone to this meeting of the Pyrenees Shire Council. Councillors will today deliberate and decide on a range of matters relevant to the work of council in its communities for the welfare of the people of the Pyrenees Shire. As meeting chair, I give my consent for this ordinary council of meeting to be streamed live, recorded and published online. Anyone who is invited to read out a question or make a submission will be recorded, and their voice, image and comments will form part of that live stream and recording. The chair and or the CEO have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given, though, in exceptional circumstances where deemed appropriate, and that may include where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory or potentially inappropriate to be published. The live stream will stop prior to the closed section of the meeting and will recommence for the conclusion of the meeting. The public is able to view this live stream via our website at www.pyrenees.vic.gov.au. And should technical issues prevent the continuation of the live stream, the meeting will continue as long as a quorum can be maintained, and where possible, a recording of the meeting will be published on Council's website. Where a quorum cannot be maintained, the meeting will be adjourned until the issue is resolved, or the meeting postponed to another time and date in accordance with the Council's governance rules. I will now move on to our acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the people past and present of the Wadawurrung, Dja Dja Wurrung, Eastern Maar and Watchabolek tribes on whose lands forms the Pyrenees Shire. We pay our respect to the customs, traditions and stewardship of the land by the elders and people of these tribes on whose land we meet today. As we are all present, there are no apologies. I would like to make a special warm welcome to our new Director of Corporate and Community Services, Mrs. Jacinta Erdity. Thank you very much, and we're very excited to have you on board. And welcome to your first meeting with us. Thanks, Jacinta. And now moving on, item number 5, are there any notices of disclosure of interest by any councillors and or officers? Thank you. I will now move to item number 6, the confirmation of the previous minutes of the ordinary council meeting of council held on the 28th of April, the closed meeting of that council held on the 28th of April, and a special meeting of council that was held on the 12th of May. And these have been previously circulated to councillors. So I will now ask someone to move a motion to confirm those minutes. Councillor Ferrari, thank you. Seconded Councillor Toll. All those in favour? And that's carried. Item number 7, was there any business arising from those previous minutes? And there being none, we can move on to public participation, item number 8. So again, for public participation, members of the community are encouraged to participate by asking questions or presenting them in a submission. So you can attend in person or submit in writing. So if it is submitted in writing, this will be read by the chair. We have had none for this meeting. So I will now move on to asking if there is anyone in the gallery who would like to address council this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was wondering, it's more of a query, and welcome back, Mr. Nolan. It's incredibly sadly missed on your holiday. I was wondering if the council has somebody or something or knowledge of who manages or maintains all the Anzac memorials within the Shire, right across every subdivision and everything else. I've spoken to RSL House. They said directly go out to the suburbs. And if the list can be combined, because there's major management issues around maintenance and the gold lettering's falling off and all sorts of things. And it's we want to make those people in those areas. I'm sure the council would love to have all the proud people be honoured by having them done up and cleaned. So I was wondering if someone could get that list and maybe I can help them get it done and those sorts of things. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Davies. I will hand to Mr. Nolan, but I do know it is a pertinent issue, particularly with some of the RSLs losing membership, or friends of the RSLs maybe needing to look at new ways of being assisted in that as well. Yeah, but I'll hand
3 have left, and yeah, There's nobody.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah, thank you. I'll hand to Mr. Nolan.
Look, thank you, Ms Davey, for that question, and happy to take that on notice if that's okay, and certainly work with you on that. But perhaps we could bring a report back to a future meeting of council to clarify responsibilities.
Again, thank you for that that question query. And I don't think there's anyone else in the gallery there. So we will now move on to the items for noting. So our first one is 9.1.1, and that's the March 2025 financial report. So that, and I'll hand now to Ms. Edity to speak to that item. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the March financial report updates council on the organisational financial performance for the first 3 quarters of this financial year. And it includes the comprehensive income statement, the balance sheet, cash flow statement, statement of capital works and capital works program. Of note, it is worth noting that the rates amount is expected to increase by 100,000 by the end of the year, with next steps being legal. An improved operating result is predicted due to carryovers from last financial year and additional funds being received through the Roads to Recovery program. The recommendation is on page 6 of tonight's agenda. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Edity. I will ask now councillor to move a motion to that recommendation. Oh, yes, sorry. So the recommendation is, that council receives and notes the financial performance report for the period of 1st of July 2024 to the 31st of March 2025 and the projected forecasts for the year. So it's really receiving the report. Thank you, Councillor Wardlaw. Seconded, Councillor Ferrari. All those in favour? And that's carried. So now we move on to the councillor activity reports, which is item 10.1, and they are as read there. May I have councillor please move a motion to that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Phelan. Seconded, Councillor Toll. All those in favour? And that's carried also. We've also got item 11.1, which is the noting and the information of the assemblies of councillors since our last meeting. And I will ask a councillor again, happy to move a motion on receiving noting those reports. Thank you, Councillor Wardlaw. Seconded, Councillor Toll. All those in favour? And that is also carried. Now we move on to the items for decision. So our first one is in relation to the Beaufort Lake Caravan Park. This is item 12.1.1, and I will now hand to Mr. Nolan. Thank you to speak to this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And essentially, there's a fair amount of detail in this report, which has been prepared by our Manager of Economic Development and Tourism. The first part of the report speaks to the capital upgrade project at the Beaufort Lake Caravan Park. So this is $1 million project. 500,000 of it is funded by the state and 500,000 is funded by council. The project involves the construction and installation of a number of cabins at the caravan park, and that is actually predominantly completed. There's some final touches to that work being done, and so this report is essentially a good news report to advise that we've got some new accommodation options for visitors to the park, which will increase the visitation to our Shire and provide an opportunity for short-term accommodation. Further to that, and with those new facilities in place, the report seeks approval from council to endorse a set of fees and charges for the hire of those facilities. And there has been some benchmarking done with other sites to compare pricing with other like facilities around, and there is a recommended list of fees for council's consideration. Just further to the report, in respect of the upgrade, I'm happy to say that that project's on time, and we're required to spend at least $1 million to be able to recoup the 500,000, and we're within around 3% of that mark. So that's overall a good result as far as this project's concerned. And just further to the pricing, what's the practice in these sorts of facilities is that there is peak periods and there's off-peak periods, and those peak periods can vary depending on the nature of the activities. You know, on some weekends where you have major events happening, there's a strong demand for accommodation. During off-peak periods, you know, we can the rates are different to encourage more people to participate. So part of the recommendation here is that firstly, that council continues to seek means of funding for the next stages of the caravan park. Bear in mind, we've completed $1 million, and this is just under a $4 million total project. So there's still a lot more work to be done and a lot more opportunity to improve the park. So we continue to seek funding for those next stages. The second recommendation is that council endorses the proposed base level fees for 2025-26 and for increases to charges for annual sites and permanent residents as recommended in this report. And thirdly, that council delegates authority to the Manager Economic Development and Tourism to establish rental rates for weekends and peak public holiday periods.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. I will firstly put that recommendation, ask council to move a motion to that recommendation. Wait, thank you, Councillor. Seconded, Councillor Ferrari. And yeah, I'll hand over. Would you like to speak to that first, Councillor Phelan?
Thank you. Mayor, thank you. It is a really exciting project, and I think fantastic for Beaufort. I appreciate all the detail that's come with comparisons of other areas and accommodation in kind of like communities and surrounding areas. My only, I guess, comment is that it would be good to have a kind of a clear principle for any prices that are set for peak periods, because we have heard too often, not for in this region, but of price gouging and, you know, 200, 300% increases on accommodation. So I think if we can have some clear principles about, you know, not exceeding a certain cap on public holidays, so that both its beautiful caravan park and surrounding areas can still be really accessible for families and others. Thank you.
Yeah, well said, Councillor Phelan. Councillor Ferrari, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is an exciting project, and certainly if you hadn't seen the caravan park before we started that renewal, the old infrastructure was certainly getting pretty tired and was in need of some renewal. So I did take the opportunity to drive up and through there the other day, and there's certainly a lot going on. So it's really pleasing to see. Keep up the good work, and I look forward to when we can source and secure some more funding.
Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Any other councillors would like to speak to that? I think I have to absolutely agree. It's a beautiful little caravan park, such an incredible asset, and to be able to bring people into our beautiful Pyrenees region, anything that we can do is so wonderful. And it has been a hive of activity, but it was even, you know, very timely to get it done when we needed to get done, and in the budget that had been allocated. I think I very much second Councillor Phelan. We have many people who come back because they know and love this area so greatly, and we certainly don't want to be an area that's price gouging, that's allowing people to come to this beautiful area. And again, in light of cost of living, we want people to be able to live and enjoy and experience this even at this time, very much even more so at this time. So second all that greatly. I'll now put that motion to the vote. All those councillors in favour? And that's carried. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to item 12.2.1, and this is in relation to the maintenance regime of council-owned and managed facilities. And I will ask Mr. Doug Gowans, please, to speak to this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to seek council's input into the current public open space maintenance regime. The regular vegetation management of council-owned and managed open space is essential for maintaining the safety, functionality and appearance of public areas. Part of this includes mowing, and mowing within township boundaries is conducted on a regular basis, and the current regime consists of 20 mowing cycles per year. On the outskirts of townships, where vegetation is less intensively managed but still requires control for fire risk mitigation and accessibility, a slashing program is in place. And typically this includes up to 12 slashing cycles per year. 95% of the township slashing is undertaken by council employees. Beyond the township slashing areas, council undertakes roadside fire slashing up to 2 times a year in the lead up to the fire season and midway through the fire season if required. Council has maps of each township where mowing maintenance is undertaken, and the maps in the report provide some examples of where township mowing occurs. Council currently employs 3 township maintenance personnel. However, over the last 12 months, council has employed an additional employee specifically to take over contractor mowing that was previously done by external contractors. That was a 12-month appointment just to see how that went. That has proved successful, and we're currently advertising to make that position permanent. Council's maintenance regime is designed to support the presentation and safety of public areas while aligning with resource availability and seasonal demands. Regular review of the frequency and effectiveness of these operations is undertaken to ensure continued service quality. Therefore, it's the officer recommendation that council notes this report and that council investigate opportunities to redirect contractor resources to internal maintenance staff resources where there is an economic best value outcome.
Thank you, Mr. Gowans. I will open that for someone to move a motion on that recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Phelan. Seconded, Councillor Wardlaw. So, Councillor Phelan, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, and thanks, Mr. Gowans, for the report. We've had a real focus on township maintenance or maintenance of towns through the council plan and our discussions here and in briefing sessions as part of the new council. So really pleased to see that there is this focus, and we have also been talking about, where possible, using fewer contractors to be able to, really get a core set of necessary resources to deal with the ongoing maintenance issues in town. So really pleased to see that this is being tested, and it sounds like it's going to be further tested. So yeah, hopefully we can see a really strong regime. It's certainly what we've been pushing for through our council plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Phelan. Councillor Wardlaw.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. From a Vocus point of view, and Natty Alec, to be honest, because I drove through Natty Alec the other day and it was in good condition too. But the streetscape and the outlying parts of town in Avoca have definitely improved in the last 18 months. There was a little note I put in through a CAV report asking for some trimming to be done on footpaths last week, and I see it's already been done when I went past today on our new footpath. So, well done to the team, and I think an extra hand to do this job is exactly what we need, just to keep on top of it all, because there's so much going on.
Thank you, Councillor Wardlaw. Other councillors, Councillor Tull. Do you want to just grab your microphone too? Sorry, Councillor Tull, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I look at this report with a little disappointment. There's nothing there on Warbler or Lexton. We've got a few squeaky wheels in Warbler and Lexton, and I know that they're always going on about their lawns being cut, but I do say what you do. I think we're seeing signs of improvement. Only today I was coming in, turned off the Raglan Road, and was interesting to note the prisoners were out there doing some wayside stop with a little handheld Victor, which they probably need a better dog for the job. But look, if we can try and get more staff out helping our communities, making their amenities better, and just I think we're on the right track. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Toll. Would you like to respond to that? Thanks.
Yeah, and thank you, through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Toll, for your statements about Warburg and Lexington there. And we didn't actually put every map in the report, but I take and note your point. They are very important townships to us. And I would like to also say that we also have a contractor, but also a volunteer who has been putting some extra effort into the Lexington area. Mr. Davies, who's in the room, has been doing that as a community service for since the Lexington fires and flood recovery. So yes, we do a lot in-house, but we're supported by members of the community as well.
Thank you, Mr. Gowans, and thank you, Mr. Davies, for that voluntary work. We're very grateful for that. Are you happy? Did you want to respond, Councillor Toll at all? Are you happy with that? I know, thank you, Councillor Ferrari. I think it is our, and just to quote Councillor Toll, but you know, our township and all our councillors, our township areas are our pride and joy. And again, they are something which all our residents get to experience and get to engage in. And so we're incredibly proud of those areas, and we want them to be maintained as beautifully as we can, not only just for the aesthetic side of it, but also the usability and the safety of our communities. So we're very grateful for that. And to echo Councillor Phelan again, it is definitely a prerogative of us to, as the new council, to make sure we can be as rigorous as we can in that regime, and we thank the staff in that for taking that up, and already to look at that contract position to be able to become permanent, because we know that that's going to be serve our community and a very prudent use of our resources. We're very grateful for that. So thank you, Mr. Gowans, and to pass on to the team as well for their efforts that they've put in to take pride in our township areas. So on that note, I'll put that motion to the vote. All those in favour? And that's carried. Thank you all. We're now up to item 12.3.1, and that's the delegations that we have that are part of the operations of the council. And I'll now hand again to Ms. Edity to speak to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The delegations report tonight provides council the opportunity to update the delegations provided to the CEO and members of council staff. These delegations may be required to change as a result of legislation or changes to officers' positions or responsibilities. The council administration to lawfully operate, it requires authorisation by council, and under the Local Government Act, council must review its delegations within the first 12 months of a new council term. So this report addresses that obligation. The S5 council to CEO and S6 council to members of council staff instruments of delegation are provided as attachments to this report tonight. So the officer recommendation is that council, in the exercise of the powers conferred under section 11 of the Local Government Act 2020 and other legislative referenced in the attached instruments, resolves that 1, the members of the council staff referenced in the instruments S5 and S6 as attached be authorised as set out in the instruments. 2, that the Chief Executive Officer is authorised to sign the instruments on behalf of the council. And 3, the instruments come into force immediately after the instruments are signed by the Chief Executive Officer, and any former instruments are rescinded. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Edity. May I ask the councillor to move a motion to that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Toll, and seconded Councillor Phelan. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Toll, Councillor Phelan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thanks for the opportunity to look at this very long list of delegations, which ran to 96 pages, I think, 95 pages. I was just keen to know whether there is a change here from former delegations, or is this essentially what was in place last year? If you could clarify that, please, Mr. Nolan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Phelan, for that question. Essentially, their status quo, but it's really to reflect as the officer indicated, the changes in legislation. So there may be some new provisions in there that have needed to be recognised, but notwithstanding that, the intent is that it be status quo. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions from councillors? No, in light of that then, and again, it is a long document, so it's but again, an important part of the workings of a council. And so and on that note, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour, and that motion is carried. Thank you. We're up to item 12.3.2, and that's the annual report of the community asset committees. And again, I will hand again to our new director, Ms. Edity, to speak to those. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council has 6 community asset committees who manage assets for and on behalf of council. They are an extension of council who is liable for their activities. It is important that these committees are accountable to council and the community for the stewardship of the assets they manage. They must act according to the instrument of delegation and the Community Assets Committee Governance and Operational Manual. The purpose of the report ensures we meet the Local Government Act requirement that the CEO report annually to council on the activities and the performance of the community asset committees. And this report relates to the 23-24 year. Of note, the Brewster Hall and Landsborough Community Precinct Committees have not met for at least 4 years. However, there are more specific details contained throughout that report. There is further work to be undertaken with the Landsborough Community, Brewster and the Warburg Community Asset Committees to explore alternative management models. However, based on that, the recommendation of the officer for this report is that Council 1 notes the report and its attachments, and 2 writes to each of the community asset committees thanking their members for their ongoing contribution to the management and maintenance of the important community assets. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Edity. May I ask a councillor who's willing to move a motion to that recommendation or an alternate? Thank you. Councillor Toll, seconded. Councillor Phelan. And Councillor Toll, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for that report. I've been heavily involved in the Warburg Community Hub for a number of years, and just the work that the volunteers do, people don't realise how much actually goes into making them run and how much it costs to keep them afloat. And we thank them very much for that. But I think moving forward, and volunteers are the hardest thing to get at the moment. People are time poor and they don't want to stick their hand up to join these, and it's the same people doing the same jobs year in, year out. But we need to make it easier for them and probably have a template how it all works that they can fill out their financial plans. So I know we haven't got a lot of financial reports come through. We've just took that, got that, that's what's left over. And there's probably a lot of them trading. What's the word?
In kind.
Not in kind. I know some people have paid some bills at Warburg just to keep them afloat, but there's probably a lot of them insolvent. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah, gosh.
And as a council, I think we need to be well aware of that. And I was speaking to someone from Lexington the other day, and, you know, we've given them a fantastic facility. We've given them a Ferrari, but they can't afford to service it. And it's going to be an ongoing issue down the track if we don't get to it. But the communities are doing a great job, but we need to help them.
Thank you, Councillor Tolan, and very pertinent issues that you brought up there too. How do we continue to support them? But again, it's absolutely invaluable what they do to serve their communities. Councillor Phelan, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mayor, and really wanting to echo Councillor Toll's words there, that the volunteers are doing such an extraordinary job, and we need to do our best as a council to give them the tools to do their work, to make sure they've got really strong representation from across the community, particularly when it's committees of management that are organising often fundraising to keep these assets in good condition. So we've really got to invest in supporting the committees of management, and as I said, really ensuring that they are representative and able to do the work that they want to do. Thank you.
And well said, councillor Phelan, both councillor Toll and councillor Phelan. Other councillors, would you like to speak to that? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'd just like to make one other suggestion. Maybe we get our economic and development team to be helping them rather than the governance team. In fact, to give them some better tools to run it possibly, but worth a thought.
Yeah, thank you, councillor Toll. Just on that too, just back to your other comment too, councillor Toll, that I just wanted to clarify. With the financials templates, I actually thought they did have them, but is that something we need to look at, or maybe they're not aware of? Yeah, can you take that on notice? Thank you. Thank you very much. If there's no other further comment, again, we do on behalf of everyone, and I know I'm speaking on behalf of all the councillors, thank you to all those people who are part of those committee management committees, and we are here to help you. So we will be working further, I'm sure, to be able to strengthen those amazing communities. With that in mind, I will put that motion to the vote. All those in favour, and that's carried. Thank you very much. We're now to item 12.3.3, and that is the insurance. And again, Jacinta's getting a workout tonight. Thank you, Ms. Edity. Would you speak to that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the insurance report tonight details a strategic review of council's insurance policies and premiums. It is important to note that it only relates to our property insurance at this point in time. The report is broken into sections A through to E. So A is around discontinuing insurance assets on Crown Land controlled by local committees of management under the control of the Department of Energy, Environment, Climate Action. Section B is around discontinuing insuring private assets owned by clubs and community groups. Section C is changing the basis of insurance on some assets from full replacement value to either a lower replacement value, indemnity only, or not at all. Section D is changing the amount of deductibles paid, sometimes referred to as an excess, for each insurable event. And Section E is using the insurance premium savings to create an asset replacement reserve. The report is very detailed, so I'm going to take that the majority of the report has been read. It is important to note that the officers have provided a range of options throughout the report, but the officer recommendation ultimately is that the council, one, advise DECA, community committees of management, of council's intent to cease insuring their assets on 30th of June 2026. Two, advise community groups of council's intent to cease insuring their contents in council buildings on the 30th of June 2026. Three, adopt the revised insured values as per Table 3 commencing 1 July 2025. Four, adopt the revised indemnity values as per Table 4 commencing 1 July 2025. Five, cease insuring the assets identified in Table 5 commencing 1 July 2025. Six, use the annual savings and insurance premiums to establish a reserve of $150,000 for future replacement of assets. And seven, notes that any financial support for insurance premiums in respect of DECA Community Committee of Management will be accounted for as a community grant. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Edity, and I know there has been so much work put into that, and I know many documents provided already, but even this is very lengthy item to consider. But in light of that and that recommendation that has been put forward, do I have a councillor happy to move a motion to that effect? Thank you. And so that's moved Councillor Phelan and seconded Councillor Ferrari. Councillor Phelan, would you like to speak first?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have to say, when I first read this report, I was really concerned that DECA is not insuring its assets and that has been picked up by local council. I agree with the recommendation that we cease covering what should be a DECA cost. But if DECA is very clear that they are not going to insure their assets, which are so vital to our community, then I think we should seek to have the assets transferred to council ownership. Now, that may or may not be well received. However, if DECA is not prepared to insure the asset and presumably not replace the asset, if anything happens to that asset, then we should be looking to take control of that. Because certainly we've got an example in which I might have spoken about previously in Landsborough, the pavilion, the floor's rotting. Now that is too big a repair job for a committee of management to be able to raise funds for. DECA's not replacing that floor, so I think we need to, really send a clear message that we want those assets transferred to us if they're not prepared to maintain them.
Thank you for that, Councillor Phelan, and gosh, that won't be an isolated incident, obviously, with some of these assets. Councillor Ferrari, would you like to speak next?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is quite an extensive report, and thank you for the work that's gone into this. I do note on page 33 that the Beaufort Band Rotunda is insured for indemnity only. Could I, considering that that's probably one of the most iconic buildings and pieces of infrastructure within Beaufort, and it is even not just within the town, but along the Western Highway, and it does get some regular use in the better weather with the band playing up there, which is quite novel. Can I ask that the band rotunda are both removed from the indemnity only table and placed onto the insurance table in the event that something may happen? I'm really confident that all in the community would want that to be restored as it is or as close to as it possibly could be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Councillor Phelan, taking note of that, would you be happy for that to be amended on the motion, or added to the motion rather? Do you want to reword or just word it that the Beaufort Band Rotunda be taken off the indemnity list and placed?
I think just the original motion, just amend the table.
Amend the table. Okay, great, thanks.
Amend the table.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you got that, Shan? Thank you. Thank you very much. As long as we're happy with that at the moment. Now, further discussion. Did you want to speak to that again, Councillor?
Sorry. I should have added previously, really pleased to see and supportive of the recommendation that funds that are currently being spent on insurance instead go into a trust, so that we can build up some reserves to be able to support maintenance of these facilities. So really strongly supportive of that. But even better if they become our facilities rather than stay in DECA's hands if they're not prepared to care for these community assets.
So on that, Councillor Phelan, do you want that added to the recommendation? So
it's just really supportive of that.
Supportive. Oh, yes. Yeah, good. Okay. No, that's definitely noted. Sorry, yes. Did you want to speak further to that? Or are you happy with that at the moment? Other councillors, sorry, Councillor Toll.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I fully agree with Councillor Ferrari on the Band Rotunda, and I would like to see that added to the list and the value of that increased significantly. And 185,000 or whatever we've got there, is that only indemnity Mr. Gowns, or is that replacement value?
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Toll, for your question there. Yes, that was the previously fully insured value, and you are absolutely correct to point that out, that is at face value well underinsured given the complexity of that particular building to replace.
So perhaps it goes with the amended table as well. Can we have that noted as well?
We can note that it probably, it will continue to be insured and it'll be valued accordingly, but we can treat that as a separate thing.
I just think the cost of the cost of replacing the Band Rotunda would be significantly dearer than the Beaufort Caravan Park laundry.
Oh, yeah, gosh, good comparison there, Councillor Toll. But we will definitely, that will be dealt with separately. We've got that down. Are you happy with that, Councillor Ferrari?
Yes,
thank you. To make sure we've covered that. Councillor Wardlaw, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My only concern on the cease insuring, and I'd just like some clarification if possible, is the 3 swimming pools. And I know we have a lot of trouble with the swimming pools, and I know they cost council a heck of a lot of money. I just want to know, are we expecting small committees of management like Avoca Friends of the Pool to pay that insurance, or are we thinking that the people in charge of the YMCA or whoever it is, are they meant to pay that insurance?
Yeah, thanks.
What would
Yes,
be what would be your thoughts on that?
Thank you. Mr. Gowan, would you respond to that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Wardlaw, for that question. Really important question. The issue with insuring the swimming pools, the actual pool, not the buildings on the side, is whether a claim would actually be possible. And so there's a question mark, and it has been looked into when we've had maintenance issues that have occurred on our pools. They're actually not covered by the insurance that we have on those pools. So effectively, unless it was a meteor that took out the pool, maintenance and age issues really don't come into play. So the issue is, and this gets into the part of the report which talks about is that insurance junk insurance? So we're paying a good money for something that we're unlikely to be able to claim on. What we really need to be doing from an asset point of view is having an asset plan to look at how we best replace those assets. And there's some strategic work being done on how best to ensure that a pool strategy and pools for the future meet the community needs and reflective of the community's needs.
Thank you, Mr. Gowan. Councillor Wardlaw.
Thanks again. So in light of that, we're just happy to let that insurance go. We're not expecting anyone to actually find the money for that because we're working at a bigger plan later on, you know. So, but we're still insured to swim at the pool type thing. That's, you know,
Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Wardlaw. Good point. Yeah, we absolutely aren't expecting our friends of the pools to pick up any shortfall. They're a council asset. Council has responsibility for those assets, and council to this point in time is committed to doing what we can to ensure that those assets are available to the community for the purpose with which they're there. There is a liability for council to if those assets were needing replacement. Council ultimately would need to make the decision around how it may fund them directly or seek funds to replace them.
Thank you, Mr. Gowan, for that clarification. Good question, though. Thank you, Councillor Wardlaw. Councillor Toll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to, seeing we're talking about insurance, where are we placed? I notice there's no motor vehicles on this plant and equipment. Are we doing a similar study into that? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gowan.
Okay.
Oh, no, you're happy?
Do you want to do it? No, it's fine. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Toll, for your question. Yes, vehicle insurance, really important. The good thing with vehicles is most of our vehicle fleet is relatively new compared to our building assets. So therefore, our insured value generally reflects the replacement value. So happy to do some further work with the plant and fleet, but be assured that because it's a lot newer, we've got a better handle on its replacement value and how it's insured.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Gowan. Thank you. Happy, Councillor Toll.
Yes.
Further questions on any of the insurance? Well, then, if we're happy with that, that slightly altered motion there, we'll put that one to the vote. All those in favour? And that's carried. Thank you for that discussion, everyone, and the clarifications. We're now up to item 12.3.4, and that's our councillor internal resolution procedure. Again, thank you, Ms. Jacinta Edity, and another item for you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The draft councillor internal resolution procedure is a requirement of the Local Government Act and regulations. It is a procedure for dealing with alleged breaches of the Model Councillor Code of Conduct. The draft procedure is based on procedures completed by other Victorian councils, and under the Model Councillor Code of Conduct, the Mayor has certain obligations, and the procedure is the opportunity for the councillors as council to review and agree how the mayor will manage any situation requiring a resolution. The process follows a standard escalation process whereby if 2 or more councillors have a situation arise that needs resolution, they should first seek to resolve it between them if it is safe to do so. If not, then progresses through the steps that may include an external arbiter or referral. Based on that, the officer recommendation for this report is that council adopt the councillor internal resolution procedure.
Thank you, Ms Eddy. And I do know at the end of last year at the MAV mayoral induction that this procedure was very clearly outlined to us as mayors and is even quite strict and even stronger than what it has been in the past. So we'll be obviously bringing that now to adopt, but it is those attached documents go further into the procedure, and it is quite clear any instance that might need to be applied to. In light of that, I will open up that recommendation for a councillor to move a motion on, and that's Councillor Wardlaw moving that and Councillor Phelan seconding that. Would you like to speak to that at all, Councillor Wardlaw?
No, that's fine.
Councillor Phelan, would you like to speak to it?
Briefly, thank you. How many months in are we now? 6 months?
A little bit.
Is it almost to the day? Yeah. Anyway, noting that this is really focused on, I think, conciliation between councillors, just wanting to put on the record that we've seen no evidence to date that we will need to use this conciliation process. So, Madam Mayor, you won't have to be, dealing with conflict between us. And, just wanting to put that on the record.
That's good. That was well put, Councillor Phelan. I'm very grateful for that. And I think, but I think that's really wonderful you brought that up, because I think as a council, we're so committed to serving our community that anything that we do disagree on, which is, it's often at times that we're able to work through that and work through any other issues. And I'm really proud to be a mayor of that council. So thank you for bringing that up. Any further conversations or questions on that? No, I think, and it is something that is procedural and we must do. And we thanks Ms Eddy again for putting that report together. So all those in favour of that motion, and that's carried. Now we're up to item 12.3.5, and that's in regards to our human rights and responsibilities and other policy that we need to be able to respond to. And so again, Ms Eddy, again, thank you to speak to this one.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this report seeks council adoption of the updated human rights and responsibilities policy. Coming into effect on 1 January 2009, the Charter of Human Rights and Responsibilities Act 2006 requires council to act consistently to the requirements of the Charter. The policy requires regular review, and this is what's the purpose of this report tonight. So officers inform council that the review has been undertaken. No changes have been required to the policy. The policy references council's commitment to the 4 principles and their associated human rights. Those principles being freedom, respect, equality and dignity. All new and revised council policies consider and refer to these rights, and council has a complaint handling policy that seeks to resolve complaints incorporating these principles. Procedurally, there are no changes to, the council is required to adopt the updated policy with an updated review date. On that premise, the officer recommendation is that council adopt the updated policy on human rights and responsibilities.
Thank you, Ms Eddy. And that has been, that is attached there, that document, and does, cover so many important things, and particularly just to highlight out of that, the principles of freedom, respect, equality and dignity, which we all want to live by and make sure everyone within our community is able to live by in a very respectful and fair way. So I'll put that recommendation to ask a motion forward. Thank you, Councillor Ferrari, and thank you, seconded Councillor Phelan. Councillor Ferrari, would you like to speak to it? Councillor Phelan? No, I think it is as stated. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour, and that's carried. We're now moving on into the Chief Executive Office part of the meeting, and our item 12.4.1 is in regards to our projects update for May 2025, and I'll hand to our CEO, Mr. Jim Nolan, to speak to those projects. Thank you.
Well, Madam Mayor, the purpose of this report is really just to provide that update to council and the community about a range of things that council is active in currently. And there's a really long list of projects there, so I don't propose to speak to them individually. It's a fairly active time of the year in terms of completion of capital projects, and there are a number of planning projects included in there as well. So plenty of work that is in progress, that has been completed and is about to start. So I'm happy to take any questions on any of those. I might call on other officers to assist with answering any of those if there are any, but yeah, it's really just to provide that update to the council and the community. And further information is available on these projects through the notice board that we put out regularly and the dashboard on our website.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. I'll ask the council please to move a motion to that recommendation to note the progress of those reports. Thank you, Councillor Phelan. Seconded, Councillor Wardlaw. Councillor Phelan, would you like to speak to that?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for that list. It's good to see such a comprehensive list of projects. I did have particularly pleased to see the works being done in Landsborough. I can see that that's still in progress on the bridge strengthening. I do have a question about the Red Bank streetscape, and I have received a few queries from residents about when there's going to be some further engagement on that, because I note that I think the time frame is for those works to be complete by the end of this financial year. And lots of residents are looking to have kind of further input into what that streetscape looks like. So I think there might have been some time that's lapsed since previous engagement. So yes, very keen to hear an update on that one. Thank you.
I'm happy to take that one on notice, Councillor Phelan, and get some advice from the officer that's managing that project. But it is one of the local road and community infrastructure projects that are time limited. I am aware that there's been some detailed design work undertaken. It does involve a range of elements on that section of the street in the vicinity of the town hall, which includes the the curb and the drainage and some pavement parking area and some landscaping elements. Take on notice the fact that the community is seeking some further input in that, and we'll make sure that that actually happens over the next couple of weeks. Noting that the officer that's managing that project is currently unwell, but we're committed to deliver that project, so we'll make sure that that happens.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. Any further questions, Councillor Phelan? Councillor Wardlaw, sorry, you seconded that?
Yeah, I think I did.
Yes, you did.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to note the good works that are being done. Well, for example, in Avoca, the Homebush Road, the footpaths also, is it Duke Street? No, not Duke, the other one, Davis Street, sorry, and another one that's being done. And I just want to make note, which is not actually in this report, but we've probably all heard about the money coming to Avoca for the $37,500 sculpture in the main street. I just ask that council is actively involved in this process to make sure we actually get what the whole of the community want, not just one or two people, please. Thank you.
That's well noticed there. Councillor Tull, were you going to speak? Sorry. Yes.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Fantastic to see so much work that the council's doing out and about, and we're displaying that. It's great. What I would love to see on this report in future is what we budgeted and what the cost is at the end. So we can let people know if we're running under budget or over budget. I think it would be very transparent for us as a shire then with the works we're doing. Noting, councillor, I note the $36,000 in Avoca for your new entrance. Warbridge has received 50,000 for the tiny towns for the playground.
Yeah.
I would ask if the Warbridge community could manage that project rather than the council. So I think that the girls that have been doing that pretty passionate. They know what they want to do, and hopefully we can reduce some costs and they can get some more value for money. But we'll liaise with the Shire, but let the community project manage it as such. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Tell. Further councillors, councillor Farrow, you happy? Any other comments on those? I think, again, I'd like to say thanks. There's some great things happening. There are points of reference, making sure that they are running to budget and making sure that we are making the most of grant money that we're able to, hence the Red Bank one. So it'll be interesting to see where we go with that one to make sure that's clarified. But also, I do urge community members too to keep an eye on, what's going on our community council, the council community notice board, because there's so much happening, and sometimes I think when we're living in one area, it's really good to see what's happening in other areas, because some of the that knowledge and that the skills and projects that are happening can filter across the Shire as well, and we can, like Councillor Toll said, even get better at managing and completing projects that are really necessary and useful for all our communities. So in light of that, I will put that motion to the vote. All those in favour, and that's carried. Thank you for all the work that's been going to that. I will now hand again to Mr. Jim Nolan. Item 12.4.2 is in relation to our engagement plan 2025. Thank you, Mr. Nolan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Essentially, council has an engagement strategy which talks to council's approach and commitment to engaging with the community in respect of a range of things that it does. That strategy reflects the fact that annually council will actually look at the plan for the year ahead. And the purpose of this report is to bring to council's attention a plan which actually outlines the range of activities that council is currently doing and intends to do over the coming year, and identifying the various means of engagement of the community. And you note in that the attachment to this report, which sort of sets out the form of engagement, whether it be and providing information to the community, whether it be consulting the community, whether it be seeking input from the community. There are a range of different forms of engagement, and whilst this is not an exclusive list, and it's not the entire amount of engagement and consultation that's proposed, it actually identifies the key elements of that, and it is based on the IAPT principles around engagement. And Madam Mayor, I ask that council endorses that engagement plan for the activities as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. And that is an attachment which people can view. It is 18 pages of engagement, and so I think it does, and the breadth of it is incredibly wide as well. So it is pleasing to be able to see this, but it's also pleasing to see that it's continually updated to be as effective as possible. And particularly with this new council, we know we want our outreach to be as strong and as pertinent as possible. So we thank you for that, and look forward to continuing updates on how we are going with that plan and the various areas that we need to engage with our community to do so. May I ask a councillor to move a motion to that recommendation? I thank you, Councillor Phelan. Seconded. Councillor Wardlaw, thank you very much. Councillor Phelan, would you like to speak to that plan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And yeah, great to see such a long list of engagement there. One which is of interest to us all, and particularly in the northern part of the Shire, is the Northeast Pyrenees Rural Water project and feasibility study. And I am just keen to understand at what intervals will we be getting updates on that project. And I understand for us it is an advocacy piece, but what sort of regular reporting back will there be to the community and council on progress? Because that's a game changer, that one. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Phelan, for raising interest in that particular project, which is a major piece of work that council has initiated and worked with the range of stakeholders to bring this project forward to develop a feasibility study and business case for the project. It's nearing completion. There is an element of work still to be done that relates to engagement with the traditional owners and to identifying and understanding the traditional owners' needs and expectations around that project. But it will require some heavy lifting as far as advocacy is concerned to secure the capital funds to be able to deliver that project. We are committed to provide quarterly reports to council on our economic development and tourism activities, and this is an economic development project, so we'll certainly be including updates on this project at least quarterly, and more if there's a need to do that, if there's a significant development in respect to the project. So thank you for your question.
Good. Yeah, such an important project and one to follow. Councillor Wardlaw, would you like to speak to any part of that plan? You're happy with that? Other councillors, any comments on the plan? Yeah, gosh, it is huge, and that's just one example of a project, and a very pertinent one as well. But there is so much in this plan that a short one on the agenda doesn't actually show how much goes into it. But again, I would urge the public to be able to engage in that, in all aspects of that plan, and to be able to even check that out. That's an attachment on this evening's meeting, and we'll go out again as part of our minutes of the meeting. So please do. In light of that, I'll put that motion to the vote. All those in favour, and that's carried for that plan. We now move on to councillor reports and general business, and I'll just look at my first victim. Is that okay? Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just the usual council briefings and council meetings. I would like to mention about I did attend the Emergency Services Volunteer Fund Community Advocacy meeting, which was really, really well attended from people not just locally, but across the municipality and probably even wider. I thank all those that attended, and I thank David George for his passion and his commitment to organising that. So well done, David, Rocky George. Still a way to go with that. We all know that there's still a lot of things in the pipeline. I just urge people in the community to understand this is not just directed at farmers. It's everybody that's a ratepayer or anybody that pays rates. You are going to get an increase on your rate. So don't think it's just directed at the farmers. Yes, it is, and they are getting a massive hike, but everybody is going to have to pay more than they should be paying. So please find out more about it, search the web, speak to someone about it, because it's so important that we all get behind this and try and get it knocked on the head. Had also some meetings with BPS 60. They're a really passionate group. In fact, we've got another meeting tomorrow, and just the work they do behind the scenes and to keep things going is just incredible. And bear in mind, we've got some progress at the moment with the BPS 60 at old school, which is great, but they've been at this for sort of 10 years. So, any lesser people would have said, oh, well, thrown their hands up probably and said, that's how I've had enough. But they didn't, they persisted, and it is starting to pay off for them. So I just can't speak highly enough of their commitment to that. Had some meeting with some constituents about a range of things. And I'd just like to mention one significant event that's coming up in Beaufort on May the 31st. The Beaufort Football Netball Club, we've been lucky enough through the Carlton draft process to have the football great and legend Tom Hawkins, the ex-Geelong player. He's going to be playing a game for Beaufort on the 31st of May. So I ask everybody, it will be just such a significant day. You know, he's an icon in the football world. It will be just such a great day. I'm sure it's going to be well attended anyway, but I just urge everyone, get up there, have a look at him, see him play, support the locals, support the football club and the netball club, and just have a great day. So we're looking forward to it. And I do thank the council. There's a lot of organising still going on, but I thank the council and the council officers that already put in a fair bit to help us get that day and make it a success, and they're continuing to do so. So I thank you, but I just urge everyone to get up there and hopefully we can have a win for the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Councillor Toll, may I hand to you? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As with Damien, been involved with all the normal council briefings and meetings and whatever. I think the most significant thing that I've been involved with over the last few weeks is the ESVF levy, which is an absolute joke. And look, it was quite moving today. I drove back from Adelaide this morning, and to see the number of CFA overalls hanging on the fence was incredible. Now this is, I think we're batting above our average, our weight in the Pyrenees Shire. Rob Armstrong got it going on the project there a little while. David George took it up. And then John Droff took it up over at Ascot. And then we followed up the following week with a public awareness run down to Melbourne on the Friday, another one on the Tuesday. Difficult situation being in the council, had a hat on sideways as being a farmer, a business owner and a councillor. But at the end of the day, we're here to represent our constituents and get the word out for them. I know of 3 or 4 suicides in the last 2 weeks over this. So we've got to represent our people and go into bat. And I know they've passed it, we can still keep trying. I know there's another one tomorrow morning down there, and I think that's going to be quite a large turnout. They're talking 3,000 or 4,000 people and probably up to 200 CFA vehicles. So, and as Councillor Ferrari said, it's not just about the farmers or the CFA, it's about everyone that owns a rateable asset. They're all going to get slugged. It was quite interesting to read in the Herald Sun today on page 11, there's an outcry in Melbourne that they've got to pay an extra $49 for a bin. Don't have to go too far to find people paying tens of thousands of dollars extra. But it's been an enjoyable month, and we hopefully don't get locked up tomorrow in Melbourne.
Thank you so much, Councillor Toll, and for all your advocacy in that region. Very much appreciated by everyone. May I hand to Councillor Phelan? Yes. I wasn't sure. I was just looking who's going to jump up there.
Sorry, these things are slow. So very similar to others. I've also been at the regular council meetings and briefings. I wasn't able to attend the emergency services meeting that was in Beaufort, but I have certainly been having conversations with lots of residents. And just want to echo what Councillor Ferrari and Toll have both said about the, the huge angst in the community, and it's about the significant impact on all of the community, whether people are, residents in townships or they're farmers. There's angst about, understandably, about some of the CFA members going off, the brigades going offline. Angst, but understanding that that's actually what needs to happen to get, the attention of government. I also want to really acknowledge that fellow councillors are on farms and suffering, really experiencing this in a way that is very different to what I experience. I could look at my garden dying, but you know, that is in no way comparable to watching stock die. So just the prolonged impacts of drought and the costs, and it's really, you know, I see how much it's impacting you, but also, yeah, all of our residents. And I think, you know, the bill has passed the parliament, but the fight is not over, and we do need to continue to raise awareness, as both Councillor Ferrari and Toll have said. This is not an issue just for farmers. This is an issue for all Victorians. And I think there is not understanding that residents, all residents, will have a 99% increase. That's going to be a lot more than the cost of $45 for an extra bin. So hopefully we will get to the point where once that awareness is raised, people will be thanking the CFA and thanking the farming community for actually highlighting how significant this issue is. Thank you.
Incredibly well spoken. Thank you, Councillor Phelan. Councillor Wardlaw.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Councillor Phelan, for those thoughts. And many of you may be aware that I have done a couple of Facebook posts, and one is just a little video on my farm, which is very, very dry, very barren, and not going to go into it, but basically it's had 3,200 views, which is quite remarkable. And 99% of the people were supportive and, you know, really took what I was trying to get across. You know, I'm concerned about mental health, very much so, knowing how, well, a lot of the men will not seek help and just slowly get more and more down, and we really, really don't want to see any more suicides. We're a very, very small farm, and I can tell you now, ours will go up by about $10,000. I mean, that's a lot to find when you're already struggling. And so that's my point with the whole thing. I won't go any further with that. Also yesterday on the lines with the CFA, I went to the Avoca truck handover at the CFA shed, and you know, they were also fantastic. They were so supportive of each other, but it was just a very sombre event, and it shouldn't have been. It should have been a much more joyous occasion to receive I think it was a $450,000 truck or something, and to be, yeah, you could just see they're all struggling with what ifs, and that's sad. But we've all been working a lot on the council plan, which is now available for you all to look online and see what you think. Please go look at it. Give us your feedback. The other things that I have been doing is I did have a meeting with Martha Haylett a couple of weeks ago, and we discussed things like the safety in our town. We've been having a few problems with break-ins and stealing of things, and so we discussed all that, and hopefully she's going to talk to the police minister about a few things for us. And we did actually discuss about our football oval in town and where it's located. And she mentioned that I think Clunes is shifting their football, the whole thing. They've got a grant or something to shift it. And I was like, well, don't forget Avoca next time you're, you know, looking for things. So, yeah, hopefully something will come of that, whether we mitigate or whether we shift, you know, but yeah, we need the funding to do it. And I have been advocating for that as well. But that's about all I've been up to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wardlaw. And obviously I'm going to get to the ESBF levy, but quickly on a lot of other things that's been happening in the Mount Emu ward. Just to reiterate first to the council plan, we do please ask for that participation. This is a plan where we want to serve you and to be able to meet those community needs. So we do implore you, if you can, just take that time to be able to comment on that. I went to the Snake Valley community, got together and held its inaugural historical weekend a couple of weekends ago. It was in conjunction the same weekend that the Lake Goldsmith ran again, an amazing steam rally. But the historical weekend was amazing, and it highlighted our brilliant little historical society whose outreach is not little at all. It's actually quite quite extensive. They were open on the Sunday. On the Saturday, the Carnham Uniting Church had a beautiful organ recital. Those ladies also ran a cake bake store while the election was happening in the hall nearby. St Bridget's Church community, the Catholic community there had a little trash and treasure stall and a raffle, and it was just a beautiful coming together of community. And I think it just shows just how amazing our communities are, that they want to showcase our beautiful little towns and our communities, and also do it in such a beautiful way where they all work together. I also, on the football note, Tom Hawkins is coming. I was watching the kids yesterday at the Lightning Premiership, the Central Highlands one, and what a fun day it was, and what a beautiful sign again, where we've got some of our Beaufort boys were playing for the other teams that didn't have enough kids playing, and I'd like to highlight again my Jacks in the team, the little under 12s. They won the Spirit Award again, so that the Sportsmanship Award for second year in a row. So just to put it out there, we've got some beautiful kids in our community, but just the general coming together of so many clubs that and other people coming to support the younger ones. Again, can't say how amazing it is that our communities, just these sort of sporting communities, other communities that hold our communities together. But that brings me to the next very important point, and that was on Friday, going to the Municipal Associations of Victoria meeting after going to the dinner first and trying to get into Parliament House yet again, although I didn't have a ticket and it wasn't actually open, but standing there as there were people in that room deciding the fate of so many people and so many regional people on this Emergency Services and Volunteer Funds levy bill. It was just incredibly moving at the time, and there was so much anxiety happening, and watching it online. If anyone has seen the discussion on the bill, it's really important to be able to check out online our plea to the government to realise what an impact that is going to have on us. On Friday, we found out about the bill, and on Friday I was stood up in the meeting there and had spoke about the impact that this levy was going to have on us, because not only, as every councillor has just said, this bill will not just impact us, it won't impact one resident, it will impact every resident, not just every regional resident, and certainly our amazing farming community, who will be impacted both financially and mentally exponentially. But the ricochet effect of that on every other resident in Victoria will be just absolutely devastating. And I think that's the message we need to get out there. We understand if there is this deficit that that state needs to find the money for, or if SES truly does need that money, we want to be very clear, though, understanding that already consolidated revenue and the current levy are there to support our emergency services. This is an added on levy, but if there is a necessity, if we understand there must be, then we implore and we will be fighting for a fairer distribution of that. At the moment, we feel very much, or we know that burden will be taken on by people such as our communities, and hence having the honour to lead that first that town hall meeting that we had. There was over 170 people that attended that meeting, and that was at very short notice. But in the talk during the meeting, but also before and after, again, that heartfelt, to get back to that angst, that worry that people are already feeling that they won't be able to pay that levy, and then that further burden that us as local government will have to be getting that from our community, for it just to then go to state and us not to be able to have control over that. We're feeling very frustrated with that, and we really would like to be able to work with government to be able to get a fairer, more equitable way forward. In light of that, we thank all the community members that have advocated for themselves and for their other community members through meetings, through protests, through emailing. Councillor Wardlaw just mentioned about the amount of likes she's had or shares of her current post. Our post on the mayoral page, that's hit over 60,000 likes and shares, and we know that other regional communities would have had that uptake as well. That is how important and how pertinent this issue is to us. And so we will be continuing to move on that and to fight for a fairer distribution. In light of the budget that will be ratified tomorrow by Parliament, from there, we'll look at exactly how that will impact us and be able to look at how we can move forward ahead as well. Although I will be meeting with other mayors in the region on Wednesday to look at how we can further unite to understand how we can protect and support our residents in light of this bill and how it will impact them. So we are very much committed to that. All us councillors, I don't need to repeat what's already been said, but we are here to be able to support. I do urge to those regional people, and particularly in light of suicides that we've heard about, do reach out if you are feeling at all that, particularly at this time, that you are struggling, that there's opportunities to receive financial counselling. If you need, there are options. There's always options available for that, and we might actually highlight some of those on our website. But make sure you do. If you there's Lifeline, Beyond Blue, all those organisations are there, or simply reach out to the council if you need to be put in contact with someone. We know the pressure on our residents and community, and we know this is impacting everyone, not just our farmers, every resident in our community. Please know we are here to support, and we will work through this together and aim to support every one of you. So I just can't reiterate that enough. But do know that we will be continuing to advocate for you in this area. It's certainly not finished yet, but we will be interested to see the budget too when it goes to air tomorrow. And we'll keep you updated. We'll keep the community updated on that one. I think that's all from me on that one, but definitely not a finite space at this stage. In light of that, if there's nothing else from any other councillors that came to view. Sorry, yes, Councillor Phelan.
Terribly sorry. I'm going to be hopefully ending on a positive note. I did forget to mention also an excellent initiative driven by the Historical Society in Landsborough, sorry. That on Sunday, 25th, we have the launch of the Pyrenees Rail Heritage Project in Crowlands. So essentially following the trail of the old Pyrenees railways, they've got signage at, I think it's the 7 old sites of the 7 old stations. So fantastic initiative of the Landsborough Historical Group. And yeah, look forward to being there at that launch.
Thank you very much. Actually, I don't want to move off a positive note either, but we might also make available, or if people can actually look on the MAV website, there has been a motion, so the MAV will be addressing government on this. One of the motions that came out of the State Council meeting, which is where I was at on Friday, is a consolidated motion of councils opposing being the collector of the levy, also to look at other aspects such as an equitable funding model, improving transparency and communication, also to conduct an ongoing economic impact assessment, so understanding or adjusting how that's distributed or how that's proportionately paid by ratepayers, and also to ensure an equitable fund distribution when the funds do go back into communities. So you may view that on the MAV website, or contact council if you'd like a copy of that motion. Any member of the public that would like to peruse that greatly. On that, sorry, but back to positive, that's a really positive note. Thank you, Councillor Phelan, and thank you to all the community banding together as we do when things affect our community or affect our way of life. So again, this is one that we will continue to work together on. In light of that now, I will close the meeting, move to close the meeting at 7:35, I think, if I'm correct. 25, sorry, there you go, it's getting a bit late. 25. And thank everyone for your attendance. Thank you both online and those that were in the gallery. And again, we thank you, Miss Edity, your first council meeting with us. I'm very pleased to have you. So thank you. And that's closed. Yeah.